Take us back to young Dre. What was he doing to get into game? How did he become a master of the game himself?
It's crazy, you know, coming up, you know, in that type of environment. That's just the thing to do. Like, you know, black men in certain, we don't have shit. You so from certain communities, we don't really have.
Where'd
shit.
you grow up?
I grew up in Tampa.
Tampa.
I grew up in Tampa.
Yeah.
I lived here for a little bit too, but you know, we don't really have shit. So it's either money or chicks. And back then, you don't really have the access to the information to know that you can be anything else but, you know, basketball, football, or rapper or some shit like that. And so a lot of the times we have to pride ourselves on how many bitches we can get and all that. So that's what we did. It was the thing to do. You was lame if you wasn't fucking when you was in
And just so the audience kind of understands, like, what decade did you, like, do most of your growing up?
In the 90s.
90s,
90s,
okay.
yeah.
90s and 2000s. Yeah,
90s.
39.
So
Guys.
I lost my virginity in like 98 and 99 or something
God
like
damn.
that. So, yeah, I've been slaying them ever since.
Nah, some wisdom here, and I got some questions about that too. But sorry, continue.
You know, it was like you was lame if you wasn't getting chicks. That like now you lame if you don't got, you know, whatever. But back then, if you wasn't getting chicks, you was lame.
Right.
And so if you didn't want to get roasted, if you was still a virgin, you was just going. So that's what we did. You know, we would go to the mall and whoever get the most numbers, you know, we put $10 in a jar. Whoever get the most numbers, we can, you know, do it like that. But for me, how I started to like wanted to get a little bit deeper into it, because I was like average. I was very average. Like I still consider myself kind of average, except up here though, right? Very smart. And so a lot of guys that went to school with me, you know, we was teenagers, they was in the streets already. They was selling drugs. They was athletes and shit like that. And so they were more. The girls were more like wow over them. So I had to figure out another way. And it was up here. But this my had the leverage, my dad was like that. My dad was one of them type of guys. That's it. And so he was in prison. My dad was in prison, and he wrote me one day. And it's out of the blue. My dad had been gone for like 10 years. He wrote me one day and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Fuck that. I'm trying to get this chick. Talk to me." And he started lacing me up. And so I now had something to compete with, because again, in high school I wasn't the coolest kid. I ain't dressed the best, still don't dress the best, still ain't the coolest motherfucker alive, but I realized you have to get him up here. And so that's what he taught me how to do when I was in high school, how to get him up here. And once I started playing around with that, it was to the hills.